Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast. In today's special episode, we are going to share some great tools and software available to Amazon sellers. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know you can get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics? Now it is time to show us what you got with your host, Rob Stanley.
And my amazing host, Lisa Kinski, is here. We got a really cool show today. We got amazing demo. I love these shows, what you got, because it gives a chance for our partners to get on here and absolutely show off some amazing, tools they have, software, services, the whole works. Today is definitely a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 strategies your Amazon business can't grow without with Hiba Weber. She's coming on to our studio right now. Let's get her in here. Hey, how are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
Yeah, as soon as I learned how to get you in here correctly. There you are. All right. So we got some cool stuff. So you're actually owner of the company, which is called SellerMobile. And the cool thing is I got to talk to you a lot about it when we were in a car together for like an hour. We were talking about that a little earlier. We'll definitely talk more about SellerMobile right at the end of this, but we want to jump right in. So that's kind of a big 3 strategies, only 3 that your Amazon business can't grow without. That's a big tall order. Don't you think so?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's always good to go back to the basics. It's so important to know kind of the foundation. And then once you have a really solid foundation, then you do tips and tricks and things to kind of hacks, so to speak, to really kind of try new things and see if they're making an impact on your kind of basic evergreen business that you need to have.
Absolutely. Well, amazing. You know what time it is. It's time to show us what you got. So we're going to jump right into it. Let's get this on the screen here.
Awesome. So I'll kind of get started. It's always nice.
Hold on. There we go. All right.
So, it's always nice to know who you're talking to when you're listening to a presentation. So I'll just very, very briefly, 10,000 feet kind of overview of who I am. So 15 years ago, my co-founder and I, we started a brand. It was wholesale. Amazon wasn't even a thing back then. We were building our brand. Amazon came into the picture. And it was sort of really interesting the way we kind of found ourselves growing within Amazon. But regardless, all of this put together, we grew brands and we were doing 20 million in annual revenue. And it was time when we'd been doing this for about a decade, and it was time that we just wanted to try something different. But, and that different being the technology. So essentially along the way, lots of mistakes, lots of lessons learned. But what we realized, the key that was separating us from our competitors, which were these legacy brands that had been around for generations in this like toy novelty party supply space, is that it was a technology that we used in the back to support our e-commerce business. And because we had started at a time where that technology wasn't as readily available as it is today, we built it ourselves. Kind of several years later, we decided to exit. It was a very successful exit. And what it did is gave us capital to build upon this technology that we call now SellerMobile. And really, when we look back and we were building this software, we were doing a lot of reflection, and we realized that the 3 absolute main things that helped us compete in a very competitive market space in e-commerce was accurate, real-time, quick reports to help us detect problems quickly. We'll talk about that today. Benchmarking for your business. So having really strong KPIs that you are not just setting, but also tracking regularly to see if you're growing the way you want to be growing. And then 3 is strategic inventory management, right? So for e-commerce, there is a stat that I like to share is 43% of businesses fail, and I'm talking about in general, fail because of cash flow problems. For e-commerce, your biggest area where your cash flow is inventory management. So if you're not doing that properly, the chances are you're not going to be able to grow and scale your business the way you want to. So now we help thousands of Amazon sellers. We connect with Walmart as well, but thousands of e-commerce sellers to really kind of take our software and get the most out of it and really kind of understand key aspects of their business. I'm going to fly through this quickly because anyone that's watching this, including you guys know this, like Amazon changes a lot. And even veterans in the space who have been doing this for a long time know that there are a lot of traps that you can fall into unless you're one step ahead of the game. So this is just some stats. You guys know that competition is more than ever. There's always changes to the way Amazon does inventory. There's been supply chain issues. I know thankfully that's going down. A container doesn't cost $20,000, $30,000 anymore. That's coming from China. But still, some of these things are constantly changing. Advertising costs have gone up. Amazon fees have gone up. And so there's so many things that are happening that are out of our control. It's so important as an e-commerce business, as an Amazon business, as an Amazon brand, to know and understand how things are changing so you can actually take action towards the right things.
I love the ominous ... on 2023, Hiba. Just gotta say, because like there's gonna be something, right?
Absolutely, there's going to be something. We just don't know what it is. And that's why it's so important to keep track of some of your key numbers. And so let's talk a little bit about the old way of doing things and the new way that we're proposing. So old way, quickly, lack of insight, choke cash flow, you're manually forecasting, you're under or over ordering constantly, and you're not really setting benchmarks for growth. That can't be, you can't be reactive. You can't be 20 minutes late to your business. You really have to be predictive. You really have to be looking ahead, quickly spotting trends, knowing exactly not only sort of how your business is doing overall, but really the unit economics of your business. So tracking costs and expenses all in one place where it's, it's sort of real time and very informative. Next, we're going to talk about sort of dynamic forecasting models to help you restock and purchase more efficiently, so you're not having issues with cash flow. And then really simplify goal tracking, because when you think of KPIs, if you're thinking of all these large companies like Facebook and Google and kind of really any really kind of big company out there, you know that they're doing this. You know that their KPIs are very, very important to them, and that's how they drive growth. Unfortunately, smaller e-commerce businesses, that are doing maybe even 6 or 7 figures, relatively smaller, don't always have the capacity or the human resources to do this. And what we want to do is we want to make this part really simple, easy, and efficient. So you're still getting the benefit of KPI tracking without having to put in the work and resources into it. So to boil it down again, analytics, inventory, and KPIs. That's kind of those are the 3 things we're going to talk about. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. It's here. You can take a screenshot of it, but really there are all of these moving pieces. And when it comes to your analytics and comes to your data. And oftentimes we find data really overwhelming, so we might not look at it, or we're spending way too much time looking at data. And really what I want to boil it down into is look at the right numbers. Don't look at everything. Don't get into analysis paralysis, but really focus on key data points, set KPIs behind them, do it in a time frame. So for me, for SellerMobile, I look at data monthly and quarterly. Those are kind of the 2 numbers. Do we track weekly data? Definitely. But when I'm looking at trends, I'm really looking at monthly, quarterly. Are we meeting our goals? Are we in the right direction? But these are some big kind of pieces that you need to be looking at. All right. Next, again, I'm going to fly through this because some of this is common sense. I just want to show you how SellerMobile can help you do these things. So when it comes to inventory management, you've got to be looking at historic data. You've got to be looking at trends. You have to forecast for the upcoming season. At this point, you're setting tentative and strict budgets, right? So marketing is working with, the supply and logistics team, or same person, just different hats. And then you're constantly going back and doing recaps to see, am I on track? Am I not on track? One of the things that, just to throw it off there, one of the things that SellerMobile does is a deviation. So what we do is if you forecasted sales, like you've maybe gone in and manually forecasted sales because you've updated your ad budget, or you are planning on redoing your listings, or whatever the case may be, better images, better videos, you can actually set a notification for deviation. So let's say that you're selling 100 units, All right. You anticipate, or let's say rather, you anticipated selling 100 units. You say, hey, set a 20% deviation between my forecast and my actuals. Meaning, if I sell 70 units, alert me right away because I'm not hitting my 100 that I expected to. Then I can go in and look at my pricing. I can look at my competitors. I can look at my ad budget. I can look at all of these different things to see what can I do to get to my forecasted sale. Or let's say that you're selling 150 units and you're like, oh crap, I don't have enough of that in FBA. So yeah, I put in all of this money to improve my listing and my images and my descriptions and whatever. I paid all these affiliates to talk about this product. And now I'm going to have lost sales because not only did I spend all of this money in advertising and in marketing, but I'm not going to recoup that money through sales. And so things like that, just even that small deviation and setting it weekly, monthly, so you can effectively change the trajectory of the rest of the month by making sure that you're keeping track of some of these key data points. And then not to harp on this too much because we've kind of talked about this already, is I don't really need to be telling you why KPIs. What I want to be telling you is I can make this really simple. SellerMobile can make this really simple. It doesn't have to be overly complicated, but it is so, so important to keep track of these metrics. Otherwise, you're sort of, you're in the blind. You're not really focused. You don't have a direction. And so really setting those KPIs is so important. And we make it super, super simple for you to do that. So those are all the things that you need to be doing. Like I said, SellerMobile does that. And today, and we do a few other things on here. We'll show you real-time data. We forecast sales. We show you your actuals. And I just want to show you how easy it is to kind of get started with this. So this is just some feedback that users, have given us, and we really appreciate our user base. They have not only kind of supported us, but also given us feedback of new things they want us to build and new things they want us to add, so we can sort of keep up and current with all the changes to Amazon. So with that said, that's my presentation. Rob, Lisa, any questions before I get into the actual meat and potato of the software?
No, I don't think so.
Demo time. Demo. Right?
All right. So is this big enough, or should I zoom in a little bit more?
Let's zoom in just a hair.
Yeah. I can do that. Is that good?
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
that's much better. Perfect.
So when you log in to a SellerMobile instance, this is what it looks like, right? So you've got sort of your top menu up here, tools and analytics, and you've got a bunch of information here. Again, don't forget, we started as a mobile app. Our mobile app is still a great, amazing feature, but we wanted to add more value to our users, and that's where we really stepped up our dashboard and web app game. So its mobile app is great. Now it's become supplement. We started off that way, but now it's become a supplement to the rest of our software. So we've got some information here. KPIs are right here. I'm going to quickly just dive into the left menu. We've got a dashboard. I'll tell you how that works. Product performances, so you can really track specific products. Orders, obviously, common sense. You've got inventory, so you can add your suppliers here, your warehouses here. Advertising is a big component. For ads, we are only showing you data and not allowing you to actually make updates to your bids and things like that. But we're showing you how they're performing. We've got requests for review. We have an automated repricer if you're doing wholesale and sharing your listing with other sellers. Alerts and notifications. And then there's some data here that we cannot get directly from Amazon through the API. And that's where we've got a bulk upload that can let you add in, let's say, your cost of goods or your supplier lead times and things like that. The way the dashboard is structured is really to give you a top-down view. So the way when I was running it, in Amazon business, I'm not anymore running an e-commerce business. I'm focused on the software today. But the way I had looked at my data was you want to set goals at the big business level, but you can't make changes at that level. You can only make changes at the small ASIN or SKU level. And so this dashboard is really kind of meant to be like this big overview, and then you can drill down deep. So SellerMobile lets you connect with not only multiple marketplaces within Amazon, we also connect with Walmart, but we also let you connect your different stores and look at aggregate data. So here I've got, and by the way, I've got this blur feature turned on. So you'll see like a bunch of this stuff is blurred. That's why like company names and things are blurred, because this is one of my businesses I've invested in. So here we've got several accounts. I can add as many accounts as I want. I can remove accounts. So then I'm looking at kind of a big picture overview. I can select or unselect.
Hiba, could you explain on that, the last accounts drop down? Just explain what is blurred out. Is that just like other stores, or what's blurred out right there?
Yeah, so these are store names. So what's blurred out are store names, yeah. And then you'll see when I go within the software a little bit, product names are blurred out, suppliers are blurred out, SKUs, ASINs, that stuff is blurred out too. So, and I'll kind of show you what that blur would have been if you had actually looked at your data. So the way this dropdown works is I've got multiple stores. So these are the different stores connected, and I want to look at overall data for all of those stores for whatever time frame. So I've got kind of these simple cards that tells me overall for the last 30 days, how much revenue, what the profit looks like, what % that margin is. So now I know kind of overall how I'm doing. Then we've got these detailed scorecards, and these are controlled by whatever time frame you want to look at. We'll go 2 years worth of historic data to tell you, kind of what your trends for your Amazon business have been. You can add as many of these cards as you want to look at different time frames. So I like to look at quarter to date, and then the last 7 days to look at sort of immediate trends, and then quarter to date. Next, we've got this detailed comparison. And what this is doing is it's actually showing me trends over time. So I could go here, and again, I could say, hey, show me the last 12 months. It's going to do it in a monthly, how my business is doing. Here, I've got a ton of different data points that I'm looking at. So I can look at orders, and I know I shouldn't have done 12 months because that sort of takes a bit. This is a bigger account. But it'll load by the time I'm done talking. So for the last 12 months, it shows me how many orders I've got, what my total revenue is, what my costs and fees are. So Amazon fees automatically get pulled into the software. But let's say your cost of goods or your shipping costs and processing costs may not, will not. So you have to actually go in and take that into account. We'll also pull in all of your advertising costs, because the goal is to really understand how is this business doing at sort of in terms of trends, how is this business doing over time. So I can say, hey, am I in the simple chart view, am I going up? Am I going down? What does this look like? I'll come back to that chart once it's done loading. The next thing, some of the other charts that we're going to look at is I'm going to show you as your business performance. So we're looking at yesterday, and then we're comparing the day before, 7 days, comparing the 7 days before that, 30 days, month to date, and year to date. So I can see, hey, look, trends are going up for maybe day over day, but trends are definitely not going up month over month. Month to date over month to date, and then definitely and not a little bit. Like I'm not that far off as how I was doing last year this time. My overall revenue has gone up, but my orders have not. So here I can kind of look at different metrics. One of the things that I forgot to mention, which is sort of super important, oh, here, this chart loaded up, but we'll come back to this in a second, is this entire dashboard is widget based, meaning I've got tons of widgets. I've got about 30, I want to say 27 or 30 different widgets that I can choose from, and we're constantly adding new widgets. So you really get to control the data that you see and the way you see it. So if you've got an investor that is invested in your e-commerce business, they're not running it, they're not managing it, and they want to have access to your business or maybe the multiple businesses that you have, you create a dashboard that is meaningful to them. And so you can add widgets at that level. If you've got brand managers you would show dashboards for those particular brands. If you've got VAs that are maybe working on very, very specific aspects of your business, then you can create a dashboard that's meaningful to them. And the whole idea was that not only can this be for multiple stores or multiple marketplaces, but really for multiple positions and jobs. And so you can create as many of these presets as you want to for all the different dashboards that you've got, and then very quickly change between the different dashboards. So here's what I was going to show you. The last, this went back to 30 days. I don't know why I did that. But here you can see from December to November, look at my business trends. All right, I see that they're sort of, that they're kind of, it's going up a little bit. There's been months where I've done better. And then here I'm looking at November of this year to see kind of what's going on. So again, very briefly looking at trends. And then really adding and removing data, because the whole idea is you don't want to have analysis paralysis. You don't want to have so much data that you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. So if you just remove data points and you just look at maybe all you want to look at your orders over time, how are my orders doing? December was real crappy. I went up. Clearly, I had a huge dip in July. All right, but then I made up for it. This is clearly a time when I didn't have enough inventory. I made up for that, got enough inventory in July, and then here I'm kind of back here. So maybe inventories are going down. I need to look at what's going on with my business. So add and remove data points to kind of understand how things are going is kind of the key here.
I love this, by the way. Thanks. I mean, when I ran my company for like 20 years, I had to do Excel to keep some of these things because it was pre you being around helped me out. But, it was really neat though, because I knew, for instance, the category that we were selling in, every July, we were always at the low. We were always high in January and high in, it was almost like a U curve.
Yeah.
And, but then occasionally we'd get spikes and we would go look at why was there a spike? Maybe it was a certain product we were selling. The kids were on spring break, or the kids are out of school, or, hey, they're getting ready to start school. Some of these products could target some of those, or maybe there was a holiday.
Yeah.
So, it's good having this kind of data because you could kind of go in and start looking at if I got a spike somewhere and you're seeing that spike after, let's say 2 years, why is it spiking? And then should I make sure and have extra inventory for that spike to handle it? So that's great data. Absolutely amazing.
Exactly. And that's sort of the whole idea. So you won't believe, I talked to like 7-8 figure sellers and they're like, yeah, I do it all in Excel. And I think the amount of time you're spending downloading those reports from Seller Central, putting them in Excel, manipulating them, adding in your formulas. Yeah, could it be done? Sure, absolutely. Almost anything can be done. If you're good enough at, using Excel, you can create all sorts of pivot tables to look at this. But the benefits of using SellerMobile is you don't need to spend however much time creating these things for yourself when you can use a software that's automatically pulling data for you, and so much of it is in real time. So you can go in at any given moment and know that your data is accurate, that you don't have to put in anything, and I can look at this information right off the bat.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah. And so the other thing is, again, all of it, this is manipulative. So I can go in here and I can say, you know what? I don't do any advertising. Don't show me taxes. Don't show me PPC. Don't show me my ACOS, my tacos. I don't care about that. Maybe show me my refunds. I don't do FBM. So don't show me that information. I don't care about my shipping costs or gift wrap or whatever the case may be. And you can go in here and actually manipulate all of this. So you only look at, maybe I don't care about units. You only look at the stuff that is absolutely the most relevant to you. And that's kind of the goal. And for me, the trends is so important to understand if I am in green or red, because I can then go back and make updates to my business to make sure that I am, on the track that I want to be. So
very nice.
So earlier we looked at kind of for the whole company or for all of the companies, but then I can actually go in here and break it down by brands. So so all of these are brand names. So within all of those stores that I have, I can look at how specific brands are doing. So let's say that maybe you're launching a new brand. Then I want to understand how is that brand doing over time. Again, the data is the same. Manipulation is the same. You've got a comparison chart here that's more, customizable. And then you could go in here and look at how things are going. Again, ad types. So you get the idea. The idea is that there's a lot of different types of data, whatever is most relevant to you. So if you're not doing advertising, this isn't relevant to you, move on. But if you just have one brand, maybe that's not important to you. But maybe for one store, you've got multiple brands and you want to look at it at that level, you can. And then last but not least, we're showing you at a product level. So here we've got stores. Again, I didn't even add the marketplace widgets here. So you can look at how different marketplaces are doing. And then here is at the product level. So for this particular product, how am I doing? How is my, how are my trends over time? If you want to understand where your orders sit, right? How many are pending, shipped, shipping, so you can keep track of that. Here we've got some declining and increasing sales. So here we can look at, all right, how are things doing? Why is this declining? What can I look at here that can sort of, that I can pay more, give a little bit more TLC to? What's going well? You might go back to your, your team and say, oh, great, this product is increasing sales in the last 30 days. What can I, great work team to get this, making sure we have enough inventory, making sure that ads are on track, things like that. The lifetime value, this one's to me really interesting, especially if you're selling a product. So this is one of the widgets, especially if you're selling a product where you want to, let's say maybe in supplements or in, things that you want to have reorders for. So you can actually go in here and say the lifetime value of my customer. How many customers have, ordered this like more than 10 times? And what's my average revenue been? What my, revenue per order for all of it is. And so this is kind of interesting data to see, hey, am I getting a lot of repeat purchases or not? And based on if you're getting repeat purchases or not, then you can actually invest in maybe additional type of marketing or influencer marketing, because you might pay a little bit more from the get-go, but I know that these people are going to keep coming back and buying more from me. So again, lots of different information. As you are thinking about trying a new strategy, I always recommend people go back to the data to confirm if your suspicion of how this was going to be is what it is or not. So back everything up with actual data and not simply intuition. And so again, here we've got this widget for your most recent FBA shipments. It's really nice to know kind of what's in transit, what you're working on, what's been received. That way you've kind of got a really big overview of your business. So again, you've got like 27 different widgets. I just picked the ones that I think are sort of applicable to almost everybody, but there's so many widgets in there that are maybe, industry specific or seller type specific that you can go in and play around with. And like I said, we're constantly, adding widgets. One of the widgets that we're actually working on right now is, it's almost like a graph like this. But what it does is it adds a spot for if you've made any major changes within your business, so or within a product. So let's say that maybe you drastically increased the price of your product, or you updated your listing, or you added influencer marketing as part of your marketing budget. You can actually go in here and add that piece of data and then see if things took off or changed from that point on. And that way it's like rather than, using a Google Calendar to say, okay, I added this thing on this day. I want to be able to see the impact that this has made rather than, wait, when did we do that? When did we start this influencer marketing campaign? Like, I don't remember when we started doing Google ads. Rather than having that kind of unclarity, you can actually add that, have that and be really data driven.
That's a really awesome feature. And I love too the customer lifetime value widget, because that can, in my eyes, inform a seller whether or not it'd be good to deploy, subscribe and save or subscription boxes. Like, hey, let's get those, 400 people that are ordering twice to order 3, 4, 5 more times. This is absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is really the goal. So the next thing that I'm going to go into is, so I went into product performances here, and what this is, and this is something that I think SellerMobile was like the only one that does it. And our users absolutely love it, especially users that are selling multiple variations within, so for a product. So either you've got different sizes, you've got different colors, you've got, sort of variations. And so here you can look at all of your products. This is a list of all of your products. And here I have it for a specific store. So earlier the dashboard was general. at the product performance. And from the rest of this is store specific. So this is really where your brand managers are going in, or your VAs are going in to kind of get a little bit more detail into, what they need to be doing for actions they need to be taking. So I've got a store here, this particular product. So this is where the image goes. This is the name of the product. And these are the different child ASINs under this parent. And so here I have it split up by parent. You can do it by ASIN, or you can do it by SKU. So that way, maybe if you've got multiple SKUs under an ASIN, let's say you're doing FBA, FBM, you've got 2 different SKUs for that, that's under one ASIN. So I can look at it that way. Or I have a business where I've got a parent and I want to understand how is the entire set doing. So here I can look at, for this particular, again, same thing here, add and remove information as sort of it becomes, relevant to me. But here I can look at, for this entire product set, this has been how many orders I've had, what my profit is, what my margin is, what my shipping, what everything, all those kind of details are. And then I can go in and I can look at, all right, great. I understand how the parent's doing. Which child is like the black sheep, right? Which one's the troublemaker? Which one's the one that's actually not like taking maybe, away from the rest of them? So this is a really great way to go in and understand, all right, I've clearly made some of these inactive because they weren't doing well. They weren't performing the way I wanted to. But now I can make sure, there is this, and I forget what the theory behind this is. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. But, the idea of like 80% of your sales are coming from 20% of your products. Do you guys know what the theory is, what the name of the theory is? The P.
It's just the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, you're right. It is the 80-20. There's the P. But anyway, you're right. It's the 80-20 rule. So the idea is for me to understand that what is it? What are the things that I'm selling within my catalog that is doing really well? I'll kind of give you guys just a little example. I think, Rob, I mentioned this to you in the car when we were hanging out, is when we first started our business, things really took off within the first year. And then we're like, we're so good at selling this stuff. Let's just go out and buy a bunch more inventory. Let's just buy everything. So we took a trip to China and we literally were like, we'll take this and this and this and this. And we came back with all of this stuff. And it turned out the reason why we were doing so well in that first year it took off the way it did is because the things that we were selling were really sellable, right? And we were really good at selling those things. Just because I have this huge catalog does not mean that I'm going to sell everything equally. And the thing is, not to say that you shouldn't try things, not to say that you shouldn't experiment with new products, with new categories, but really understand and having a really data-driven approach of how you're spending your cash flow in purchasing those items is so important. So here I can look at, and again, I'm looking at 30 days, but I can look at up to the last 2 years to understand how is this product set doing within this product set? How are these specific, children doing? And then I can maybe invest more in those or maybe remove them because they're actually hurting the ones that are actually doing well. So
I looked it up, Hiba, the Pareto principle, Pareto. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
It is. I think it's Pareto. It was like, I wanted to say the philosophy, but yeah, thank you for looking that up.
You're welcome.
But I think everyone knows it as the 80-20 rule. So
yeah, absolutely. That's what I go by. So look at, there is a ton of customizing that can be done with this. All the widgets that you have, it sounds like we could probably go an hour on this, but we're gonna wrap this up right here. And the reason why is because I want anybody who's listening who's interested in trying out SellerMobile. They do have a 14-day free trial on their website, so definitely head over to there. We're going to talk a little bit more with Hiba about the company, about how you can contact them. And I just went and looked, and they have a 14-day free trial. But I do have to say, this is definitely a Money Man approved demo. So there you go. See, Lisa moved it before I could finish. So
I didn't move it.
Oh, that's all good. Anyways, yeah. So why don't you tell us a bit more about the company? Obviously, there's a lot there, so people could do this 14-day trial. Probably want to also schedule something with you guys to learn more about what's specific to them that they can maybe take advantage of as far as if hey, I'm looking for this widget or that widget, do you guys have it? Because we didn't get to go over all the different widgets. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little more about that?
For sure. So the idea is that you really want to have a software that's meeting your different business needs. And there's no one size fit all. There isn't, I'm going to get this dashboard and I'm going to see all of this and that's all I need to see. One of the things, it was really interesting. So when we started SellerMobile, we are these big data geeks. Like I don't find it overwhelming. I like to look at information. I like to sort of know, base my decisions on information. But one of the things that we heard was like, yeah, but it's too much and I can't handle it. So my instance today, and because of this demo, wanted to be this really full, I want to show you all the different pieces of data that you have. But if you want a graph or a chart or that is, a table that has like 4 data points, because that's where you are and that's how you absorb information, you're able to do that. So the reason why we created this very, very, very customizable dashboard was because we want to be able to not only support, sellers that are new and aren't really used to looking at this data, but at the same time scale with your business. And as you grow, you're gonna want more information. And we want to make that available to you as well. So the mobile app really is for those new sellers that want to understand what's going on with their business and have this in the palm of their hands. But then as you grow and as you expand, you're going to want more complicated and more data-driven widgets to kind of grow with you.
Yeah. So tell everybody how they could get to the website, how they get a hold of you. I'll flash it up on the screen for everybody just to follow up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so SellerMobile.com is where you can find us. Start a 14-day free trial, just like Rob mentioned. If you have any questions, contact us at info@SellerMobile.com. If you have questions for me specifically, you can contact me at Hiba@SellerMobile.com. That's HIBA, SellerMobile.com, @SellerMobile.com. And then I encourage anyone that signs up, and we'll follow up with you, I promise, is get that onboarding done so we can really show you around, so you're really stepping off on the right foot and getting all the things that you need. We'll white glove it for you and we'll add in your cost of goods. If you're coming from a different software, just give us the Excel and we'll add your cost of goods or your processing cost for you. Maybe your supplier lead times, if you need help with that, we'll do all of that for you so you can kind of start running with it from day one.
Incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. So be sure to head on over to SellerMobile.com. Again, they have a 14-day free trial. Definitely schedule something with them to ask all those questions that are probably particular to your business and maybe your needs, because I'm sure it's there based off all these widgets. So that's very awesome. Head on over to SellerMobile.com. I'm going to do a quick bonus story. Lisa hasn't heard this one. I'll do it the best I can. But Hiba and I are in the car and we're talking. And she started mentioning the entire kind of category or products she was selling. And I was like, that's interesting, because I was looking for those products back in the day. And I said, wait, she started kind of explaining more the products, the name. And I was like, wait a minute, were you ever at ASD? And she goes, yeah, I was at ASD. And I said, yeah, was this right? And correct me on the years, but like 2015, 2016. And I said, oh my gosh, I have your catalog. Wasn't it a thick catalog? She goes, yes. And I explained the catalog more. I'm not going to give away the details of the category she was in and the products, but I actually have that catalog somewhere in a folder, and I'm going to see if I can find it. And I'm going to have to take a picture with, well, maybe I won't take a picture with it, but I'm going to send a picture to Hiba just to show her that I have it. So how crazy was that, Lisa? Back when I was a seller, actually ran into her at ASD. Yeah. Yeah. She was there at the booth and I probably said hi for a second, maybe at least a glance or something, but how crazy is that?
That's crazy. So I wonder how many other times that's happened too in this industry, because so many sellers are turned service provider entrepreneurs. That is really funny. I bet it's happened more than once though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody be sure to head on over to SellerMobile.com. We'll put that on the screen just one more quick time so everybody can see it. So SellerMobile.com or info@SellerMobile.com. Check out that 14-day free trial and be sure to schedule something with them to get all the questions answered that maybe you didn't get in this. And, we always appreciate those thumbs up, and be sure to reach out to Hiba. Thank you for coming on the show. It was so awesome hanging out in the car with you for an hour. It turned into you being on the show. I definitely appreciate it. And be sure to check us out and check out this great Show Us What You Got episodes coming up. And we're going to have a really cool 2023. Thank you again for being on, Hiba. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.